Hi guys, welcome to a new episode. It's a blissful day. I know there's a lot of things going on, especially now. I just came back to town. I was away for 2 days on a camping trip and just got back down. I got late last night, and there's a lot of things going on in Los Angeles and even in the valley, kind of close to Van Nuys, and it's not too far from my place. So I want to dedicate this kind of YouTube video today to decision making. When do we make the best decisions? And maybe even ask, when do we do not make the best decisions? So I know there's a lot of fear and anxiety, a lot of questions, and I think the whole United States and what I've seen in the news, the whole world is kind of still upside down. And there's a lot of places, even away from U.S. that are taking stand and are trying to kind of pay tribute to lost innocent lives, and especially Black lives. So I've decided to talk about a little bit how can we make decisions and maybe not get lost and maybe sometimes wait a little bit. So let's go back. When do we make the best decisions? Do you guys know? Have you already thought about it? Are there times that you're making better decisions than the others? What do you think? So I think if we start analyzing our behavior a little bit, we start looking very clearly that whenever we're upset, whenever we're angry, whenever in the middle of some kind of strong emotion, that we know that we are not thinking clearly. And I think our own experience, we start really analyzing it, would tell us that this is not the best time to be making any decisions. So it's extremely difficult, even for kids. I know even personally, when I was a little kid, it's like I used to get upset about little things, and I felt like I had no control. And it's you turn on TV, and it definitely you can feel the people being upset left and right. And yes, I get that. I truly understand that. But what can we do when the time when we are full of anger, pain? Is it the best time to just go and just try to say or do something? Is that's going to be the best thing for everybody else? I would highly disagree with that. I think that we have to allow the time to pass, and I think there is still, good way of using that energy that's gonna, whatever situation is gonna cause us to feel or experience. You can use that energy to definitely um, make us to create some kind of reaction. I want to make sure that whatever the reaction is going to be is going to be a responsible reaction, a reaction that is going to make us, in a week, in a month, in a year, make sure appreciate the decision that we've made. So I would highly encourage every single one of you guys, just take a deep breath. In a time when it's tough, when you want to strike back or you want to just say something back, is just take a deep breath. And it's extremely difficult to practice. Watch yourself, catch yourself. I know in my personal relationships how many times I couldn't just hold my tongue back and just, I knew I had to question or I had to say something or the last word had to be mine. And I think there's extreme power and control and liberty when it comes to being able to control that initial emotion. It's like at the end, you're not going to solve something. If you're going to be adding more fuel to the fire, you're not helping the fire at all. So how do we take a breath? How do we stop? How do we, are able to say no to this emotion that comes over us? And I think it's a lot of times, it's simply just by closing our eyes and taking a few deep breaths. And simple techniques are always the most successful. And it's like you always have it available. And it's like before I respond, I'm going to take 5 or 10 deep breaths, and then I'm going to respond, or I'm going to go for a little walk. And getting a little personal, I know that used to drive my ex very crazy because, let's say there was an argument, I would say, you know what, I'm going to go for a walk. And that never went very well with her. But to me, I always felt that don't say anything that will potentially hurt another human being. And I truly, stood by it. And I tried to practice that, even though a lot of times it was misunderstood. But I know, at least from my side, I could never at least try to say words that I would regret later on. So I would highly encourage everyone of you to kind of start thinking about those things. It's like, how do we react to the news? How do we react right now? Are we making any decisions? Are we making any judgments about anybody, what's going on? And before we do, it's like, take a deep breath. There's one thing about truly understanding yourself, but also there's another thing, truly understand somebody else. And I think as we grow, as we evolve as human beings, we will understand that it's almost impossible to understand another human being fully, because they're so complex. There's so many things that their childhood, their teenagers, what shaped them, what experiences they've had. It's like there's really no way of knowing what it went through. So before we pass the judgment, just hold it to yourself. And I think I truly stick to this. At least try to believe and practice this kind of one of the concepts of do not say anything that can be hurtful or can cause somebody else pain. It's very simple. It's like, it's not that some people do not want to hear our criticism, some people are not interested, and it's true. It's like, what right do I have to go and bash somebody else only because my views are not, the same as theirs? It's not fair. It's not. It's like, I know that I might change my opinion later on. I might learn something even, about even owning guns. I see some posts right now that people are changing their ideas and concepts about feeling how they view the Second Amendment. So breathe, take a deep breath, don't pass judgments, don't give automatic responses. Just try to be a little bit more understanding. And I think this is what time really needs. And I've been really moved today what I saw when people were protesters, when they saw that there is some vandalism taking place and people were just trying to loot a store, and a few windows were smashed in Walgreens. So some of the people basically just went over there, just raised their hands, and with their own bodies they protected the store, and they send a very strong message. We are not appreciating what you're doing. We are not happy with what you're doing. So I think together people, are sending a lot of messages, and every one of us has a power to do that. So I encourage you to be positive, even though times are very challenging. And I think in those trying times, this is the time for us to stand up and be strong, be positive, and encourage those to maybe kind of behave in a similar ways, because there's so much anxiety, there's so much misunderstanding, and so many emotions. So do what you think is right, but I ask you to breathe. Do not make crazy, last minute, passion driven judgments. Just let it be, and then try to find a solution maybe when you come down. So with that, have a fantastic rest of the day, night. I'll talk to you tomorrow.